It's good to see you again, Troy. So I actually want to start off talking about Juneteenth. I know I first talked to you a few years ago, talked about your growing up in Philadelphia and whatnot, and the influence of culture. I've never seen what was a regional celebration become national as quickly as Juneteenth had. I wonder what you think is happening in the culture and what the reverberations are going to be.
I think the people that it mattered to have always recognized it as a holiday and as an important moment for Blacks in this country. Right now, I think what we're seeing is corporations sort of scrambling, trying to figure out, what to do. I think over the last 2 weeks, I think $100 million must be the magic number, because I've seen so many companies pledge $100 million and give their employees Juneteenth off. But if it doesn't lead to systemic change, then I think it's meaningless. So, but it's a conversation starter, but I definitely don't think it's the solution.
So, yeah, I mean, I just saw an article from Fortune that talks about performative allyship happening in the office. Companies maybe putting up $100 million or, giving Juneteenth off, but not having Black managers, Black executives in charge, not making sure that Black employees and other employees of color and underrepresented groups, women, are really having opportunity in the workplace. How do we hold all of our institutions accountable for what they say they value during a time like this?
Well, look, John, there's a lot of Black people in the country that don't have a job to take off for Juneteenth. So I think just, really looking at employment, from, the entry level all the way up to the C-suite. And, I think what we're seeing over the last few weeks is a lot of the blind spots and companies be exposed. Maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, I remember when the conversations happened around Blacks in technology, and, a lot of the big companies pledged to hire more and build these pipelines and made these same sort of pledges. And, we haven't really seen a meaningful amount of substantive change. And then also, when things shifted over to the Me Too movement, there's a pledge about being able to put more women in. These are things that I think, just both for the business case of a company. I just saw Kara talk about, the Snapchat today and the mistake that they made around Smile to get the chains broken for Juneteenth. If there's Black people sitting around the table, you would have never seen that filter in the first place. And so as we're looking at, just the shift, the demographic and the country and these new consumer bases, understanding this consumer, understanding, the nuances, I think you need people in the room who look like the consumer and understand the consumer as well. So it's not just about a charity case, it's about having a good business case for it as well.
Right. People in the room who are also empowered to give their unvarnished view of what's going on. So
absolutely,
they can actually say, don't do that, and not worry about being fired. They'll actually be heard. So I want to ask about the music industry, because it's going through quite a challenge in the COVID-19 era. Concerts have been an important source of revenue and profit, and it's not clear how that's going to reemerge, when it's going to reemerge. What do you predict?
Yeah, the way we look at the music industry is, probably in a few different buckets. You have sort of the record label side of the music industry, which has proven to be very resilient just because the product doesn't rely on physical retail locations like it used to. So not too much trouble and on the record label side of the music industry. And then, and then we're seeing stability on the subscription streaming side of the music industry. And then on the live event side of the music industry is pretty catastrophic, where we don't see this normalizing again until probably fourth quarter of next year. I think actually Live Nation probably has one of the most underrated CEOs who's saw this company through, ups and downs and transformed it. And so I think, ultimately they'll be in great shape. But, there's going to be a lot of artists sitting at home essentially until there's a vaccine. We'll see what happens with the economy, and then we'll see what happens with consumers actually feeling comfortable enough to go into places with, a lot of people. And what I predict is like the legacy acts, just sort of the older touring bands who could fill stadiums, they'll have the most trouble, because if you're 65 or older, do you want to sit in a stadium with 70,000 other people? So we'll see how it comes back, but I think it's going to be a while.